A right to be stupid.
3 minutes to showtime.
The show will begin in exactly 3 minutes.
Not that I approve of Xanax, mind you. I can't stand Big Pharma, but that's neither here nor there. Does this man know people can see him before showtime? It's a little voyeuristic for me, but I just can't look away. It's like watching a monkey in a zoo. Not a particularly handsome monkey, I might say.
The show will begin shortly. Please stand by.
2 minutes and 30 seconds to showtime.
Hello, this is Bernie Sanders. Thanks for tuning in to see Pursuit of Happiness Radio on Facebook Live, which is a very fancy way to witness right-wing propaganda. I wonder if I took my blood pressure medication today. I'm sure I'll need it for this train wreck of a man.
It's incendiary, it's offensive, and people can get hurt.
I guess I should have a snack while watching this dreck.
This train wreck will begin in 2 minutes.
Please stand by. 2 minutes to showtime.
I'm down to lightly salted almonds and cinnamon rice cakes. However, I'm sure Pursuit of Happiness Radio will for sure ruin my appetite.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
The show will begin shortly. Please stand by.
I hope that airtight room has decent ventilation. If he farts, it could have dire consequences.
Oh, God, that show is so dumb.
Weren't you offended by that? I was just offended by that.
1 minute and 30 seconds to showtime.
This show's broken, has not even begun yet. Good! This show's unairable.
It is a thrill. I love this show.
The show will begin shortly. Please stand by.
I just want to go on record as saying that I found that joke barbarously offensive.
No wonder you hate the show. You're everything we make fun of. You're Jewish, conservative, pro-life, born-again, overweight, Asian, homophobic, lesbian broad who cuts herself.
The show will begin in 1 minute.
Whoa!
I think we got a show.
Oh, yeah, we got a show.
We definitely got a show.
Oh, yeah, there's a show.
This show is not high on my list of priorities.
The show will begin shortly. Please stand by.
Hey everybody, big show today, and when I say big, I mean it's just you guys and me. Today I decided I want to try to, yesterday we had a lot of calls, and I felt like, you know what, calls are good. Let's take a break from a day with guests, and just us and me and you guys. And so if you guys want to call the show today, I hope you will. I also hope you guys will share this video if you don't mind. Hit the share button, whether you're watching me on Twitter, if you're watching me on YouTube, if you're watching me on Facebook, about 160 so people. Yeah, between the three networks lately, usually we have about 10,000 listeners who watch this video over the next 24 hours. But, you know, we always remind people it's great to listen on good old-fashioned terrestrial radio where tens of thousands do, and thousands of people listen on iHeartRadio. And those people hate social media, amazingly. Anyway, hit us up on any of those places. Call the show if you want. We're going on.
Pursuit of Happiness Radio is deluxe. Liberty and freedom will make you smile. The pursuit of happiness on your radio dial. Just as cheeseburgers and liberty fries, it's pursuit of happiness time.
Live from North Korea.
Oh, yes, no, that's the thing. We're talking about it's a totally different country, North Korea. They're not even on the same peninsula. Late breaking news from North Korea between riots and the coronavirus. I bet some of you forgot the Democratic People's Republic of Korea was even a thing. Isn't that funny? They call themselves the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It is a dictatorship. It is a hellhole. Statist nonsense. These anarchists running around in the street out here want to destroy America to push us towards communism. You like communism? You've got it. Fly to China. Fly to North Korea. Don't forget about Venezuela. Anyway, I hate to get ahead of myself, but I already am. DPRK dictator Kim Jong-un, Lil Kim, is out making statements. And he's taken on the biggest problem in Far East Asia to affect the region in years. You mean coronavirus? Nope, I'm not talking about coronavirus. He must be talking about nuclear war. Again, no, not nuclear war. No, he's going to take on the biggest problem in years. Cheating Korean spouses. Cheating lovers. I'm talking about, infidelity. Wow. Yes, it's true. Lil Kim says he wants the government to crack down on promiscuity. You know, that's the last person I'd expect to hear lecture others about being responsible with their missiles. Remember Rocket Man? We forget things so quickly. And I won't be talking about any of that today on the show. I have, however, for whatever it's worth, I decided to take an afternoon off from booking a bunch of guests. And I figured we had so many calls yesterday, we didn't have time to get to them. So more phone calls today, less guests, more of the real people, less of the pundits. Not that the people I book are like CNN pundits. But yeah, if you want to call the show today, pick up El Telefono 713-212-5950. Today on the show, we're going to start with Wacky Joe Biden. He's coming to town. He's coming to Houston. I'll explain why. Also, Undercover with Antifa, a new video from Project Veritas. I'll play you clips and tell you what you need to know. Drew Brees and Nirvana's bassist have something in common. Nirvana, one of the greatest rock bands of all time. Drew Brees, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. We'll get to that. And you know what else? News from the world of cracked out meth heads who've decided to attend rallies and protests. And actually some good news the media won't tell you. But first, let's talk about Joe. Joe, you ain't Black Biden. And his new favorite person, the late George Floyd. The more we learn, the more I find what happened to be George Floyd to be absolutely appalling. It was a tragedy. There's no other way to describe it. I don't care about his criminal history. I don't care about his drug history. What happened to him there on that day? It was wrong, right? And I find it slightly less appalling when celebrities and corporations and politicians exploit our raw emotions over recent controversial topical tragedies to make themselves and their own career or name brand look better. You guys know Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis. They were on that 70s show back in the 90s, which in fact is farther away from today's date right now than in the 90s than the date it was supposed to be displaying. It's such an odd thing. But I don't mean to get off subject. Those two actors and actresses, Ashton Kutcher and Mila Kunis, exploited the coronavirus pandemic to launch a quarantine-themed wine brand. I find it kind of tacky. Similarly, George Floyd's funeral. You know it takes place in Houston on Tuesday. Hopefully it won't be rowdy. I'm guessing it won't. It's a funeral. There's going to be a funeral procession. And would you believe, just announced presidential hopeful and dopeful Joe Biden, who hasn't left his home for more than twice in the last 5 months, he'll be heading to Houston. He's going to attend this. So you better watch out. You better not malarkey. You better not cry. I'm telling you, Sparky. Shotgun Joe is coming to exploit a tragedy. George Floyd's funeral is expected to have hundreds of thousands of attendees. Well, hundreds or thousands. Who knows? Probably thousands, including high-profile politicians like Pelosi and Sheila Jackson Lee and Joe Biden. Meanwhile, regular people have not been allowed to go to their own family members' funerals because the attendance was capped due to COVID. It's frustrating. You saw what Mayor Bill de Blasio did to the Orthodox Jewish community in New York City for trying to attend the funeral of one of their religious leaders who recently died. I think de Blasio hates the Jews. I don't know. Just an instinct I have. And then there's Joe Biden. People on the left love to criticize Republicans for doing things that appear to be insensitive to the black community, and sometimes they're right about that observation. But Joe Biden is just as bad, if not worse, than any mainstream Republican when it comes to his true nature versus demeanor on the race issue. Biden says he thinks the George Floyd murder was wrong. And I agree. And he's blaming the police on the riots. That's interesting. The riots are happening, at least in part, because the city of Minneapolis took too long to press charges. Turns out, if you heard the show yesterday, we talked about this, there's a reason why. What a lot of people may not realize is Biden is going to a victim's funeral directly resulting from a bill, a policy that he wrote, which gave police the power to have qualified immunity. It's true. Years ago, back in the 90s, Joe Biden was part of a team of lawmakers who helped push the qualified immunity narrative for police officers. That qualified immunity is this policy that protects cops, sometimes bad cops, when things look bad. You heard us talk about it yesterday. Briscoe Cain was on. He's a state rep, good friend of mine, Tea Party guy, libertarian Republican, not unlike yourself. If we change these rules, particularly when it comes to qualified immunity, I agree with Joe now. I don't agree with him then. We can make life easier for good cops by making life more difficult for bad cops. It's a complicated issue, but lawyers and politicians have tried their hardest to make sure people don't understand these laws or where they came from. And much the same way you need a fancy accountant to navigate our incredibly complicated tax system, you need a fancy lawyer to figure out our complicated legal system. And a lot of people think these systems were intentionally made complicated to create an industry out of explaining this stuff to people, and I tend to agree with that idea. And that complicated system has Biden's fingerprints all over it. George Floyd didn't deserve to die, and Biden wouldn't care about George Floyd if it wasn't an election year.
Sure, he may have had a staffer throw out a tweet or two, but Biden never attended any of the previous funerals for dead black men associated with controversial police-related shootings and incidents that were flagged by the Black Lives Matter movement. Why now? Well, it's election year, kids. Plus, isn't he scared of the pandemic? There's no social distancing at a funeral of 3,000 people. He's been babbling on Twitter for months, or at least his staff members have. The Democrats will make an exception for this one, though. They'll relinquish white privilege for a more important pandemic. We get it. This is standard leftist hypocrisy. You also have to wonder if Biden will go to Officer Dorn's funeral. He's one of the casualties of these racially charged riots we're witnessing. Why is Biden suddenly okay with not social distancing now? 2 weeks ago, you were the scum of the earth if you went to work. And this is different, I guess. And just so we're clear, I'm 100% okay with a murdered man having a large funeral. We should be okay with it. We're Americans. We're free people. We deserve to be outraged. There's no sports this year. There's no festivals. There won't be any 4th of July fireworks because that's mostly what Democrat lawmakers wanted. But I actually agree with them on this. I think there should be a big funeral. So yeah, Joe Biden's a hypocrite on qualified immunity, and he's also a hypocrite on militarized police. On Tuesday, Joe Biden basically admitted, without really coming out flat and saying it, that libertarians were right about militarized cops. He gave this statement, and he talked about how it bothered him that, there were tanks and armed vehicles at these protests that were placed there by municipal police departments, not by the National Guard, not by the Army. Would you believe, though, still, Biden is an awkward poster boy for police reform, because back in 1997, he played a big role. Then Senator Delaware of Delaware voted in favor of a bill that expanded the Pentagon's role in handing off surplus military gear to local cops. It was called the National Defense Authorization Act that created the 1033 program. It's a vastly expanded version of previous military surplus programs that entitled all law enforcement agencies to acquire property for bona fide law enforcement purposes that assist in the arrest and apprehension of missions. And what they gave the cops, you saw it in Midland, Odessa, when they were arresting these people for trying to open a bar. They had some vehicle there that was prepared to deal with mortar shells and landmines. Why does Midland, Odessa Police Department, a cute little community in the middle of Texas, have militarized vehicles? Well, it's because of Joe Biden, which is also the same reason why this guy has, why we have qualified immunity for police departments. It was the 1033 program. It was Joe Biden. See, now Democrats are mad about these things, but 2 decades ago they liked it. 2 decades ago they supported border security. It's like all of a sudden they don't believe any of the things they used to say they believed, because Donald Trump has now decided that maybe he agreed with them on it. Whatever Trump says, they'll say the opposite. If Trump came out and said George Floyd was murdered, I bet they'd come out and say he wasn't. Quick break. We'll be right back.
Stop listening to the government and start listening to the truth on Pursuit of Happiness Radio with Ken Webster Jr., a.k.a. Producer Kenny.
You're a small business owner. Maybe you are in management at a mid-sized company. Maybe you work at a huge corporation, and your company's business interruption insurance did not cover your business having to shut down because of the government. Maybe your insurance company said, well, there's a clause here about diseases, viruses, and bacteria. See, that's not what happened. Diseases and viruses didn't cause your business to shut down. The lockdown did. Well, fortunately for you, my buddy Jason McLaurin has a little website set up to defend businesses who got screwed over because of their business interruption insurance. It's called covidclaimstexas.com. Do me a solid right now, even if you don't think that this applies to you. Just pull up the website, take a look at it, glance at it, see if any of the information there might be helpful to you or a family member. This could help keep your company from going bankrupt. It's important. covidclaimstexas.com. Some business interruption policies actually do cover what happened, and they're not going to give you the money because insurance carriers are consistently denying these claims. If a carrier denied your claim, call them right now at either 713-461-6500 or check out their website at covidclaimstexas.com. They handle legal matters in both Texas and Louisiana. covidclaimstexas.com. Check it out right now. We both appreciate you.
Is Houston
What up, people? Sorry for the delay in getting over here today. I just had a lot of prep work to do today. There's a lot I wanted to say on today's show, rather than talk to a guest, I wanted to talk to you guys. So call right now and tell me what you think. If you're watching this right now, 713-212-5950, do you agree with me on this? Do we need to end qualified immunity for cops? I polled you guys the other day. I did a poll, and what I thought was really interesting was about 51% of you agree with me, and about 49% did not. Now, whatever your answer is, whether it's complicated with lots of nuances or just a simple explanation of why you do or don't agree with me, this is a conservatarian safe space. All are welcome here. Even if you don't agree, I'm not going to rip you guys to shreds. I won't be mean. I just want to know what your opinions are, so do call about that. Also, coming up in a little bit, we're going to go undercover at an Antifa meeting. It's going to get weird coming up here in a minute. Hang on, I got to do a commercial in a second. Best during these trying times. Their hearts go out to all those affected with the coronavirus with prayers for a... Hey, and if you haven't already done so, share this video and sound off in the comments. Tell me where you guys are at today. Insurance solutions for you are working from home, continuing to help those in need of health insurance. If you or your company need health insurance, the folks at Insurance Solutions for You can still help. It is still a non-government plan that can save you 30 to 60%. I love that more people are watching and commenting from YouTube. We had a lot of people yesterday on YouTube watching this thing. Not as many right now, but that's okay. Hopefully you get more soon. Got a bunch of people on Facebook watching. Love all you guys for being here. At 866-566-3776. That's 866-566-3776. Or go to insurancesolutionsforyou.net. That's Insurance Solutions, the number 4, you.net. A quality plan managed and chosen by you, not the government. All right, I got some good news for you, kids. You know, the bars are reopened around Southeast Texas and throughout the state for the most part, but the rules are weird. You go to the bar, you're not allowed to stand at the bar, and a lot of these bars, that, especially those that are in the city, are tight-spaced, confined, and they're trying to social distance because them's the rules after all, but it's a hard thing to do. Can I make a recommendation for you all? Go check out Ben's Den. Ben's Den, like a guy named Ben as a den. That's what it's called. If you just Google that, Ben's Den, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's right in the east part of the downtown area. It's a trendy little area. They say it's like the new Heights or the new Montrose. It's called Edo. If you head over there, you'll find Ben's Den at Gulf Coast Distilleries. These are the people that make Giant Texas bourbon. We did a live broadcast there last fall. You guys saw it, and I'm hoping to do another event there real soon. But what it is it's a huge open space. You can eat there. There's a lot of food trucks on the weekend. And if you want to go to a bar without having to deal with this social distancing nonsense, check out this place. They got a bunch of great brands of alcohol you could try, including Giant Texas bourbon and BJ Hooker's vodka. Mwah, 2 of my favorites. Pick up some bottles there, get some drinks. The bartender there is an award-winning cocktail maker. He won some contest on Bravo, and my wife was really impressed by the guy. He lights little piles of tobacco on fire, and it's like a chemistry set behind the bar, and he uses all this stuff to mix together drinks. It's amazing. You got to see it. Ben's Den, it's located on Clinton Drive. It's right outside of downtown, right off I-10. Go check it out this weekend. You'll love it.
Napa know-how! Get all the quality parts you need at your locally owned Napa. Because right now, when you order from Napa online, you can...
Hey, just for everybody watching this right now, it's just us right now talking off the air. I want to do a live event coming up at Ben's Den. I want to do an event. There's not a live event. I want to do a weekend drinking party. We're either going to do an after party, like at a happy hour in the early evening on a Friday, or we're going to do something early on a Saturday. We'll either do Walton and Johnson happy hour on a Friday evening, or we could do day drinking on a Saturday with the Walton and Johnson show. What would you guys rather do if you're in Houston or anywhere near Southeast Texas? Tell me right now in the comment section what you guys think of that. Would you rather do a bourbon tasting with us on a Friday evening, happy hour time, or do it a little earlier in the day, like around 11 a.m. or lunchtime? Happy hour on a Friday or day drinking on a Saturday? I already see Tommy wants day drinking on a Saturday on YouTube. Tommy, I kind of want to do that too. But Billy Ed said he wanted to do it on Friday. So me and Billy Ed, we kind of got into it earlier. Mr. Kenneth said either would be fine as long as he could invite his ladies. I don't know what that meant because I thought he mostly hung out with men all day. But I prefer day drinking on a Saturday. I'm as boomer as it gets. Carol says day drinking. Tony says day drinking. Gresha says, I wish I was in Houston. Well, you could drive in. Lady Hellfire on YouTube says day drinking. Toby says both. Toby, party on, bro. Amanda says day drinking on a Saturday. Tommy says do both. Hang on, I got to go back on. We'll talk more about this. We're trying to put together a live Walton and Johnson event right now in Houston.
Walton Johnson on the Friday we go, like happy hour, bourbon tasting. Or we're going to have a Walton Johnson day drinking event on Saturday. We were kind of leaning towards happy hour on Friday. But the sales department wants us to do it on a Saturday. So I'm curious what you guys think. You could sound off on our comment section in the live social media videos we're doing right now. But we'll talk about that soon. It's time for a live event. I don't care what the insurance companies and the police and government say. I want to hang out with you guys. I miss seeing you people in person. So we haven't done one since last year, which is so depressing. All right. We may be living in strange times. I know that we are, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But here's some predictable news. This is not shocking to me at all. The U.S. marriage rate hit an all-time low. And as a married guy, you know what? I'll be happy to tell you what you're missing out on. Marriage is amazing. You get to live with your best friend. If she's generous enough, you get to do amorous things whenever you want. You don't have to go out all the time and meet weirdos and worry about the consequences, right? As a married guy, I would tell you that. Then, once my wife leaves the room, I'll tell you something entirely different. All right. I want to tell you about the weirdest thing that just happened to me, but first, let's do this.
And now, new rules for living in progressive America.
Inflammatory rhetoric is outrageous, but harassing people in restaurants is virtuous. People who have never been to college should pay the debts of college students who took out huge loans for useless degrees. Immigrants with tuberculosis and polio are welcome, but you'd better be able to prove your dog is vaccinated.
This has been New Rules for Living in Progressive America.
That's what this is. All right, signs of the apocalypse. Let's go.
Apocalypse me.
Say hello to the apocalypse. It's one of the 7 signs of the apocalypse.
I can only assume it was the end of the world.
Yeah.
These are prophecies from the end of time.
Some people have been telling me they think we're living in the end of times. I hear from my inside sources. Believe it or not, I have inside sources. I know. Ken Webster Jr., you talk to people. My inside sources tell me that pigs are flying these days and hell has recently fixed their AC unit. And while I don't know what specific chapter of Revelations we're living in, I do know that the mainstream media and national Democratic leaders are normalizing violence, and they're defending a domestic terror group, Antifa, the same white anarchists who are out making Black Lives Matter actually look bad, look worse by spreading hate and violence in their name. Probably a sign that we're a long ways away from bad news getting better, and maybe a possibility that we are in the end of times. The end of times! Right now, at this exact specific moment, at least for me, I know everybody's Google results are different. If you Google the word Antifa, the domestic terror group spreading all the hate around, the first 3 articles that pop up all make Antifa sound like a Boy Scout troop. The Washington Post reports that white vigilantes are recklessly targeting Antifa rioters in Idaho. Shame on them. I don't even know what that means, white vigilantes. You mean, first of all, everybody in Idaho is white. That's a dumb thing to say. Oh, no kidding. There's white guys in Idaho. 99% of this. It would be interesting if it was an Asian group of people. Like, that would be news. Did you know there's white people in Idaho and they don't like that rioters came to town? Oh, yeah, okay. It's weird that the Washington Post would try to make the people defending their town look bad, but make Antifa look good. I don't understand that one at all. Similarly, then you got this thing called what is it? The Intercept. You know what the Intercept is? They created that because of Edward Snowden, but don't get me wrong, it's a left-wing news outlet. It's nothing libertarian about it. They say the White House is just wrong about Antifa, and The Atlantic, another news outlet, they did something similar. They said, why is Trump obsessed with Antifa? Could it be they're burning down the country? There's a good reason why people on both the left and the right are publicly disavowing Antifa. They are. Not everybody likes Antifa, including a lot of Democrats, including the Black Lives Matter movement. There's this new intelligence report that says Antifa's plot for an anti-government insurgency has been in the works since the start of the presidential election cycle. That was last November. U.S. intelligence officials who recently spoke to the Washington Times under the guise of anonymity said the Justice for George Floyd demonstrations were the catalyst for unleashing its plan in an election year. I told you this on the show before. Now the intelligence agencies are confirming it. Antifa's actions, they represent a hard break with this long tradition of a peaceful political process here in Americano. Their Marxist ideology, it seeks not only to influence elections in the short term, but they want to destroy the use of elections
as the determining factor in political legitimacy. Does that sound familiar? Antifa's trying to do what the DNC just did. You remember the botched impeachment attempt and the falsified Christopher Steele dossier? Those were only the beginning of a progressive anti-American movement started by the deep state and now carried on by grassroots anarcho-commies. It's like they passed upon the baton. Well, anarchists, we couldn't get the job done here at the DNC. Maybe you could pick this up. Yeah, no problem, bro. This new program of widespread civil unrest that we're seeing all around America, this is a hallmark of domestic terror group activity. Regardless of circumstances, what happened, whatever vehicle brought us here, them piggybacking off of local gangs, they're putting their goals into action. Antifa doesn't care about George Floyd. Look, I told you, BLM is a lot of different subgroups. In BLM, you have people who are kind of like Antifa. Sure, that's true. There are also reasonable people in Black Lives Matter. I don't paint with a broad stroke here, guys. I'm telling you, there are good people in BLM. There are bad people in BLM. Please believe me when I tell you this. Black Lives Matter has religious leaders. They have pacifist hippies that are out there passing out flowers. There are even some libertarians and conservatives in the crew. I happen to have friends that are in it. I don't agree with them on everything, but they're my friends. I love them. Trump's election and this revitalization of America, those are all a threat to Antifa's nihilist goals. They're fomenting this violence so they can create havoc and despair and chaos and death and tragedy and free stuff, man, free stuff, anarchy, damn the man. You know, Bill de Blasio's daughter's part of this. Damn the man, says Bill de Blasio's daughter. Hello, you're the daughter of the mayor of New York City. The man is your dad. I'm sorry, are you just mad at daddy? But this isn't just about Bill de Blasio's daughter, as interesting as that mugshot was, and look it up if you've never seen it. I think her and Mr. T have the same barber. Anyway, Antifa has loosely been described as an anti-fascist movement. That's not what they are. It's a gang. It's a domestic violence group. It's a terror cell. A domestic terror group, not a domestic violence group. That would be entirely different. Well, maybe a little of that, too. They wear black-clad outfits. The masks are generally designed to sow division, discord, chaos, spread hatred, make people look bad. You know, George Floyd was killed by Minneapolis police. They held his knee to the neck of an unarmed detainee for around 8 minutes. He died. That was horrible. But the left is blaming this on Trump and Republicans. Nobody in Minneapolis or Minnesota is a Republican. Statewide elections, local elections, the police force, the chief, the sheriff, every one of them is in fact a proud Democrat. You know how I could prove that officer wasn't a Republican? Because if he was, you'd be hearing about it right now. Don't change the channel. 713-212-5950. We're here with you. We'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Talk to you.
You're listening to the Pursuit of Happiness Radio. I guess it's not available in Canada, eh?
For a second there, I kind of thought we were on NPR with that bumper music. I think we played the wrong thing. But that's okay. You're still on the right show. Phone lines are open if you want to call. You know what I like? I like good, honest charities that help people. I like Wheelchairs for Warriors. Wheelchairs for Warriors is so important. One of our listeners recently reached out to me, and he said he had a father who was severely injured in the line of duty and had a wheelchair, and that man recently passed away, which is so sad. That bummed me out. And what they did was they gave the wheelchair, he wanted to give the wheelchair to charity. So I'm setting them up with each other right now. His father passed away. He's going to give this mobility unit to a great charity called Wheelchairs for Warriors. And they love to accept your donations. You know, you don't have to have a lot of money to donate to Wheelchairs for Warriors. A little goes a long way. If everybody donates just a little bit, if you go to wheelchairsforwarriors.com right now, click that green button, you give them $5. You think $5, is that really going to help? Yeah, it is. There's thousands of people that listen to this radio show. You know, we reached close to 100,000 listeners in a 5-day time span. If everybody donated, could you imagine how much good we could do? Go to wheelchairsforwarriors.com right now. It's a 501c3 charity. You can write it off, give a middle finger to the government, take that money away from the IRS, give it to some people that deserve it. Wheelchairsforwarriors.com.
I don't know if we should go with a similar color scheme or try something new. I don't have their phone number, but you can believe they can, but I wanted to make sure. Again, just go to HoustonPowderCourse.com for this number. Yeah, buddy, I got one of those for you as well. Also, ask them how much they charge to pick up and deliver and how long it's going to take to get those pieces back. In fact, you might need to just email them some pictures. Again, just go to HoustonPowderCourse.com for their contact. Okay, that's it. Gotta hang up now. Love you.
License number 17036. As if you don't.
What up to all my peeps in the comment section? What's going on, everybody? Chris says F Antifa. Simon says use Bing, not Google. Taylor says start drinking, then take over the stand or beach, question mark. Ken says, howdy y'all, Alabama 10% are here. Shout outs to my Alabama peeps. Chris says arrogant narcissist toddlers indoctrinated from assholes. Oh, that's funny. That's what Antifa stands. Oh, I love it, Chris. Antifa stands for arrogant narcissistic toddlers indoctrinated. Oh, are we doing a live read right now? I didn't even realize. My bad, everybody. Hey, listen, times are tough right now. You guys all know this is true, and well, they're going to get better soon. But just know that in these times we're living in, I'm breaking all my old rules right now. Instead of saying in these trying times, I like to come on here and say, in these dumpster fire times we're living in, why not go out and do a little good, make somebody feel good? Go to Shaw's Fine Jewelry. Go to Shaw's Jewelry. They're located at West Gray and Montrose. Been there for years. They've been there. Would you believe they've been there for 50 years? If you took the age of my producer, his name's Garrett, he's 21, and multiplied that by 2, it still wouldn't be as old as Shaw's Jewelry is. And the cool thing about that is they paid off their mortgage a long time ago. And after 5 decades in the industry, you start to meet people. You learn the names of folks and you figure out who's who and what's what and how to get the best price on jewelry. They have the best inventory, the highest quality stuff, watches, fashion jewelry, bridal stuff, diamonds. Everything doesn't have to be an expensive purchase. They got whatever budget you're on. They got great things there for you at the best prices. Go check them out right now. Shaw's Fine Jewelry. You can also give them a call, 713-522-4884.
One of our show sponsors emailed me, frustrated with his bank during this whole PPP and long before. Felt like he didn't matter to them. Felt like he was just a number. And he said, can you make an introduction at your bank? And I said, absolutely. Sent an email to Paul Murphy.
I really get the impression, by the way, there's a couple people on hold, but I'm going to take some calls right now if people want to call. 713-212-5950. It sounds like almost everybody said Saturday to the question that I asked. And Taylor's saying we start drinking and then take over the Strand or the beach. That would be fun. I would do a live event in Galveston. I just wonder if that's too far for some people that live in Houston. I'd love to do. I love Galveston. Steve Harvey. You guys like Steve Harvey? Steve Harvey bought a $15 million Atlanta mansion. Pretty nice, $15 million. It has 5 bedrooms. It has 4 bathrooms and a garden for growing fresh mustaches. I think that's fantastic. I want to talk about something coming up here real quick, but first, Jesus Santo Domingo, Peloso Santo. I have no idea what I just said. When I want to speak Spanish, I just make up words. Jesus, did it sound like I was doing it?
Yeah, it sounded real good, like Caribbean Spanish.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All you need now is a drink and a nice hat.
Jesus, I barely even speak English. I speak American, really, if anything. But I love watching Telemundo for 2 reasons. The first being the weather girl always looks like she just came from an audition for a porno, and that's interesting. Even the women that the women that do children's television on Spanish TV seem like they're too sexy for television. I don't know what it is. And then the other thing I like is the announcer on Telemundo, because he kind of sounds like a game show host mixed with a vampire. He's like, Pelos los Telemundo. And I don't know why, but I wish I could sound like the Telemundo guy. Anyway, what'd you call about Jesus?
Yeah. I agree with everything you say. They are some of the sexiest women I've seen, and I doubt porno films have them as sexy as that.
Mm-mm.
But in reference when you said what part of the Revelation end times we're living in, it's very simple. Listen, when Israel was prophesied to be gathered together again until Judgment Day, well, it happened in June 14th.
How could you know that? Jesus, come on. How could we? Oh, 1948. I thought you were quoting the Old Testament or something. I didn't mean to cut you off there.
In the Old Testament, they also prophesied that Israel would be gathered again. Also, my last name, Garcia, comes from the Spanish Jews that were in Spain that changed their names and, with their fingers crossed, converted to Catholicism in a fake way to not lose life, land, and money.
Sure, Jesus, I get the point. I love the point you're making about the Bible and everything. I feel like I've been doing that bit on the radio for years. It's a sign of the apocalypse, prophecies from the end of time. And every other time I did it, it was funny. And then all of a sudden, now that we've gotten to the times we're in, when I do the bit, it doesn't seem like it's a joke anymore because it really feels like it's happening, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah,
it's going to get a lot worse. A whole lot worse than even aborting millions of babies.
Well, I hope you're wrong about that, but there's a part of me that fears that you're not. I want to talk about what Drew Brees has in common with, who is this? The bass player from Nirvana. You'd probably think nothing, but they do have a lot in common. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Today's show is brought to you by Murder Hornets.
Yep.
Yeah, don't forget about us.
Nope.
I guess the media did. Coming soon. Dun, dun, dun.
Oh, they are coming. Murder Hornets are coming. New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees has something in common with Chris Novoselic, the bass player from one of my all-time favorite bands. I love Nirvana. Drew Brees, I'm sure you already know what I'm about to say. He disagrees with Colin Kaepernick's protest during the national anthem. So Yahoo Sports does a story on this. They reiterated his position, said he still doesn't agree with Colin Kaepernick, and they made it sound like he was saying he won't take a knee during the national anthem because he doesn't care about George Floyd. Here comes the rage mob. Boop, 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 boop. We're so angry and we don't like facts. Turns out he wasn't talking about George Floyd at all. Brees actually said he agrees with Colin Kaepernick for taking a knee. He would just never do it. Brees added that the anthem isn't just about the military either. It's about people who died for our country. It's about the founding our nation. And he's right. You know, it's okay to respect the flag and still be upset about George Floyd. But it didn't matter. The rage mob comes and the rage mob taketh. Kaepernick responded to the news by saying taking a knee has nothing to do with disrespecting the flag or the military. Of course, if that was true, if taking a knee during the anthem has nothing to do with disrespecting the flag or the military, then I gotta ask, why take a knee during the anthem? You are wrong. You are wrong. And Colin Kaepernick is wrong. Why not take a knee at some other time? Find another time to protest. I don't know, whatever. You know what? I still support his right to do it because this is America, kids. This is America, and freedom's pretty awesome, especially the First Amendment. Now, regardless of Kaepernick's intentions, it was clear in 2016, as to this day, that kneeling during the anthem, it kind of upsets some of the people whose family members died for our country. Still, Brees reiterated his stance on the protests, and now he's apologizing after LeBron James, who was dunking on him all weekend, figuratively speaking, on social media, and sports journalist Shannon Sharp, who now thinks he needs to step down. He says Drew Brees had better just retire. He claimed he needs to step down and retire. The media vilified New Orleans Saints quarterback Drew Brees because he refuses to kneel for the anthem. But over the past few decades, at least the last decade or two, Drew Brees, argue with me if you want, open phone line, 713-212-5950. Drew Brees has done more for the city of New Orleans and local charities than anyone else on earth right now, living or dead. Cancel culture will attack the best of our society. Never, ever, ever cave to the rage mob. Don't give them a knee, don't give them an ounce, give them nothing. And he's not alone. You can't be an entertainer or an athlete with slightly right-wing views in 2020. You would think, what could the Nirvana bass player Chris Novoselic, a proud libertarian who endorsed and campaigned for Gary Johnson in 2020, do to upset the rage mob? Well, I see people calling in about this already. He did do something. Yahoo News, the same people who sent the rage mob after Drew Brees, now sending him after the new Nirvana bassist. He's in hot water for privately expressing support for Donald Trump. It got so bad he had to temporarily switch his Facebook page to private. He deleted his Twitter account entirely. The whole backlash occurred on his private personal Facebook page, not the public page for his music. Chris Novoselic, a great bassist from an awesome band, was commenting on Trump's Law and Order speech. You guys heard Monday evening, they had this press event. Trump said he would mobilize all available federal forces, civilian, military, to stop the rioting. Remember, he had the Bible? You saw that? Chris Novoselic responded to this. He said, wow, I know many of you can't stand him, but Trump knocked it out of the park with this speech. He agreed is all he was saying. I agree with him here. I don't agree with him on other policies. On this, I agree. Chris Novoselic said, I've been watching the images in the media and thinking about how polarized our country is. I mean, even wearing a medical mask in public can be seen as a political statement. And he goes on and on. He says there's patriotic militias and Antifa. And he's not part of any of that, but you got to call him as you see him. Trump was right here. Novoselic's apparently quit Twitter now, at least for the time being. Angry fans continue to post their delusionment regarding the grunge icon statements. People coming out of the woodwork to complain and get very angry about it. And I can see that Martha wants to talk about this. 713-212-5950. You can also call 866-I-LOVE-WJ. They both work if you want to reach the show. Martha, real quick, what do you think of that?
Well, I'm just so over it. And I'm tired of walking on eggshells. And I'm a double minority. I was born in Cuba, and I'm a woman.
Wow.
You know, and I don't, you know, I can honestly tell you, I don't ever recall. I mean, I got pulled over by the police a couple of times. None of them were ever rude or disrespectful to me. But sometimes, you know, we have to kind of, you know that not everything is targeted at us if we're Hispanic or black or tall or short or fat or skinny. You know, we can't take everything on a personal level. And unfortunately, if we on the right, conservative views, traditional values, don't stand up and fight this, it's going to end really ugly.
Martha, would it shock you to learn that me, a white, heterosexual, cisgendered, heteronormative man from the Midwest with a middle-class suburban upbringing, that I, as a youth, had brushes with the law?
Wait, repeat that one more time.
Oh, I was just saying, would it shock you to learn that me, the average Joe you ever met, middle of the country, middle of the economic spectrum, middle of everything, middle of the suburbs, you name it, that I have had brushes with the law in my life? Would that shock you?
No, of course not.
When I was a teenager, when I was 14 years old, I got arrested for skateboarding in an abandoned parking lot. When I was 17 years old, I got arrested for drinking at a party while underage. As an adult, in fact, I once got into trouble. I had a cop. I showed up at a place where I was getting directions in the city I used to live in. We had this thing called a map point. A map point is this thing that underground party and underground concert and rave promoters use. You show up there, and there's a guy there, and he hands you the directions to the party because they didn't want to post the location publicly online in case cops showed up and arrested people for illegal drinking or illegal noise ordinances or smoking something they shouldn't smoke. Of course, this was a long time ago in the late 90s. It was years ago. And while I was standing there, one day I showed up at this spot, and I was there to get directions to a party, and a cop saw me and threw me down on the hood of the car. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Patted me down, screamed at me. This is the Chicago Police Department. Scared the life out of me. I thought I was going to get arrested. I didn't. He was a little rough on me, too. You know what I mean, Martha? But the whole reason I'm telling you guys this story is that cop, that one bad cop I met somewhere when I was 17 or 16 years old, who, by the way, probably had, even if he was a little rough with me, probably there's a good possibility that I needed it. I was a bad kid. I had good parents, but they worked a lot. They were gone all the time. It's not their fault. You know, they were good people. I don't judge all cops for the action of that one cop that one time. That would be naive. It would be silly. It would be ignorant. Most cops are good people. When we have a doctor give out bad medical advice and it kills somebody, which happens all the time, it happened thousands of times this year during this health crisis. We don't blame all doctors for that. If you go right now and do a Google News search for teacher has sex with student, there is no shortage of photos that pop up with seemingly, at least not bad-looking women, often in their 20s or 30s. And we don't blame all teachers for having sex with underage kids when it occasionally happens. Why do we blame all cops? It doesn't make any sense. I agree with Martha. Martha checks out two things on the intersectionality scale. Although generally women don't get roughed up by cops as often as men do, Hispanic people from other countries certainly have had their experiences. And look, everybody's life is different, and yet somehow we're all the same. My only point is this. Cops often, most of them are good cops. You've heard us talk about it on the show. Most of them will probably give you the benefit of the doubt. Give them the benefit of the doubt, too. That's my only point, guys. Hey, if you want to respond to what Martha just said, pick up the phone, 713-212-5950.
Right here on Pursuit of Happiness Radio.
It's hard work to host a show with a couple of knuckleheads.
Ken Webster Jr.
Once upon a time, you bought a health insurance plan, and it sucked. It was so crappy. It was the crappiest crap that ever crapped out of your insurance policy needs. Look, the government created our current insurance policy situation. In fact, it was created by a guy named Obama. What do you think about him? You know, the Affordable Care Act? It neither provides you with affordability nor good health care. It's amazing, right? Most health care plans are too expensive these days, and you don't have you don't get a tax credit, you don't get good subsidies. If you're in reasonably good health and you want the government out of your health care, call my buddy Terry Bush. Terry Bush works at Insurance Solutions for You. He's been helping people get quality health insurance for 30 long years, even older than my producer, but almost everybody is. Save 30 to 60% on your health insurance with better coverage. Get a quality plan managed and designed by not the government, but by you. What you need, whatever you need. COVID-19 testing, medical expenses, exclusive benefits and features, no deadlines. If you want to enroll right now, it's on the web. Go to insurancesolutions4u.net. That's Insurance Solutions, the number 4, YOU.net. Or you know what? You can call them too. Why not? 866-566-3776.
This guy's got issues.
Issues we all face every day.
Houston has the same problems everywhere else. Jamie Barrett, up next at 3. The difference is how we go about solving it. 9:50. Now.
About a 15-minute delay on 45 Gulf Freeway coming northbound from College up toward the Loop. We've got a hazmat spill that's being cleaned up at Broadway and Park Place, and an I-10 East Freeway eastbound Reckitt Market that's on the left shoulder. I'm Katie London in the 24-hour traffic center.
This report is sponsored by Allstate. If you're driving less, you could be saving more on car insurance. With pay-per-mile insurance from Allstate, pay for the miles you drive and save on the miles you don't. Call a local Allstate agent and get a quote now.
Hey, folks, it's Michael Berry.
Hey, something really vile is about to happen on the show. If you're easily grossed out, don't disconnect from this video. I promise you I'll make it short. It's going to be funny, but it's going to be gross. Also, share this video if you don't mind.
Or more off every gun in there. Woohoo! It's going to be good times. Good times to be had. Get you a breakfast taco. Get you a gun. Get ready for the season. Check out the new Collector's Firearms starting at 6 o'clock this Friday morning. CollectorsFirearms.com, Westheimer and Voss.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And
commercial break almost done, guys. Hey, while we're waiting, sound off in the comment section. Bourbon or tequila? What do you prefer? Let us know right now. We're going to have a bourbon tasting at Giant Texas Bourbon, and I'm wondering if I should get some other stuff there as well. If we should get tequila, maybe we get a little vodka. We're going to have a good time. I don't have an official date yet, but I'm sick of not doing events. It's freaking summer now. By this point in the year, I had planned to visit every one of our affiliates around the South and around the Gulf Coast, all the Walton and Johnson affiliates, all the towns where our listeners live, whether we're on the air there or we just have a lot of people there on social media who tune in, and we haven't done any, so because we couldn't, the government wouldn't let us, and I'm sick of it. So I'm going to do one here in Houston, and then we're going to head to other cities, New Orleans, Baton Rouge. We're going to head to Gulfport, Shreveport, Alexandria, Midland, Odessa. We're heading to all the places. People are sounding off. It's always funny that these are mixed. I find every one of my listeners is either a bourbon or a tequila person. I like them both, to be honest. You know what I really don't get into? I'm not into gin or like vermouth or whatever. I don't like old lady stuff, I guess. I like vodka and tequila. Carol says bourbon and tequila. I like them both, too. I love me some tequila. I'm on this weird, it's not that weird. I'm on an eating plan right now. It's a nutrition plan. And they told me one of the things I can do if I'm trying to lose a little weight, I can still have tequila on the weekends. And I was so excited when they told me. Hang on, I think we're going on. I am going to play for you bites that will make you laugh or vomit or both. But stick around. That'll take a few seconds. Real quick, I want my friend Martha to... Martha, I interrupted you, and I wanted you to finish that point. And if anybody wants to respond to what Martha's saying, 713-212-5950. Martha, let your voice be heard by thousands of people. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And that's what I need. Not everything that happens to you that's negative happens to you because of your race or your gender or your beliefs. You know, that cop roughed that man up, and he shouldn't have done that. Okay, he took his life. He took a father, a child, a cousin, a brother from a family.
Right.
I get that, and that cop should pay that price. Because that happened doesn't mean that it happened because of his race.
Yeah.
Okay? We don't know what was going on in that cop's mind that morning. We don't know what happened. But let me make this point. When you get arrested and you get roughed up, that don't normally come into your house, knock on your door, and drag you out of there because you did nothing and kill you and beat you up. Most times than not, you are in some kind of criminal activity.
Right.
I'm going to say something else, too. All of those people behaving like animals on the street of every race, color, creed, whatever, okay, I promise you that 95% of them live a life of crime, and none of them tell on each other. The cops that were there watching should have spoken up, should have done something about it, okay? But I have seen a lot of times when people get arrested, and they're, oh, this hurts, oh, this happens, and the cop takes a break for 1 second, and they're either punched in the face and your boy's running or whatever. So I'm not saying by any means that I'm justifying that man's death, because God forbid he did not deserve to die. But my point is, again, it doesn't happen because of the color of your skin. It happens because of your ideology and how you behave.
Yeah, and the vast majority of the time that's true, Martha. Look, there are many things that affect us. Our race affects us. People's perception of us is affected by our race. It's true. But that's like one of 17 things. And she's correct, too, to say there are very few examples of cops coming into someone's home and just murdering them. But there is one example of that happening in our own community. It happened a little over a year and a half ago. It was about a year and a half. It was a guy here in Houston named Dennis Tuttle and Regina Nichols. They were innocent. It was a man and his wife. They were in their own home with their dog. They didn't have any drugs. They didn't have scales, anything. And cops came in, charged them, murdered them on a no-knock warrant, which we now don't do anymore because of this news story. But when that happened, those two people were innocently murdered in their own home. No protests, no riots over it. I'm sure you know why. Black Lives Matter, Antifa, they didn't really care that two white people in their home died. Duncan Lemp, a white man in the last couple years, Daniel Shaver, Sarah Wilson, all white people wrongly killed by a cop somewhere over the last few years. No riots, no protests over it because it didn't fit the narrative, right? And for whatever it's worth, I just counted out here 1, 2, 3, 4 examples of people that were wrongly murdered by cops. Again, that's 4 examples in millions of examples because there are over 1 million law enforcement agents in America who every day probably come in contact with more than 1 million potentially dangerous suspects, and somehow people think cops are the problem. Statistically speaking, they're not. Look, before we run out of time here today, I'm about to play 2 really odd sound bites. If we have time for 2, I'll play 2, but at least one right now. There's this white guy in Minneapolis. He got interviewed the other day on the street by an independent journalist about why people on that block were screaming at the cops. He's disheveled, twitchy. Twitchy is a good way to describe this guy. He's a middle-aged guy. He's dirty. And listen to this journalist try to have a serious conversation with him.
Hi, what is your name?
My name is Big Daddy, and I'm from Cincinnati.
Big Daddy from Cincinnati.
Absolutely.
I saw you making some gestures at the police. I was wondering what's going on. What's going on here today?
Well, the cops shot somebody down here a couple nights ago, and they're going to just walk away like it's no big deal. And people like these fine folks right here say, no, it's enough. Give us a reason, give us an excuse, and we want to hold somebody accountable.
Yeah!
Okay.
You can't just go around killing people.
No.
Can you? I
No.
can't. I know I can't. I mean, there's lots of people, sure, I'd like to put a stick in.
What?
But, you know.
How long is all this going to go on?
It's going to go on till it's over.
Till it's over? What's going to make this over? What are there specific demands that these people want, that you and these fellow people want?
I would like to have some pussy.
Oh, no.
And that would make it over for me. Some real good pussy.
See, that's...
Have a great day.
All right, you know what? As weird as that is, here's one more weird soundbite as we go to break here. This is a woman on TikTok, a naked woman covered in feces with the hashtag George Floyd. She says she's doing it for God.
Hi everyone, I am Dung and welcome to my channel here at TikTok. And look at me covered in feces. I am just so gorgeously covered, caked in feces.
No.
Look at that. Isn't that something? Isn't that beautiful? And
No.
I do this to glorify God, to put my ego into remission. Look at that. Isn't that something? Wow. Do you think? Do you think at all?
No.
No, you're not thinking, are you?
She's insane. She's out of her mind.
So this is my ego. It's so.
No, it's not, lady. You need medication.
This is the way I am, and I love it.
Dear God, pray for her, ladies and gentlemen. Pray for her. I love all you guys. Have a great afternoon. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Listening to the Pursuit of Happiness Radio. Tell the government to kiss your ass when you listen to the show.
Well, that was real Texas, real talk.
Darren on Facebook asks, is it her own feces or someone else? Darren, we don't know. We don't. That information not readily available. We all ask the same thing.
Our iHeartRadio app.
We're officially less than a month away from Father's Day, and I know how much time and effort people like to put into Father's Day gifts.
Emphasis on time?
But, yeah.
Absolutely.
For one reason, Shaw's Jewelry has a great selection of pre-owned luxury watches Dad would love.
Yeah. Hey, guys, I'm sorry to do this to you. I got to go to the dentist here in about 30 minutes, so I'm going to head out in a minute. I'll read some of your comments here in a minute before I take off, but no extended after show today. Let me do a promo real quick, and I'll wrap with you guys for a minute before I go.
Up in there, too.
And you might be surprised to find out you actually can afford it when it's pre-owned.
Substantial savings is what Shaw's Jewelry is always about. Since 1966, at the same corner, for Houstonians in Houston, at the corner of West Gray and Montrose. Been there forever.
You can even sell or trade your old fine watch. Make an upgrade right now. Give them a call, 713-522-4884. Just go visit the original location. Same great place for over 50 years.
Good old Shaw's Jewelry.
License number A9976C. A shiny new AC.
Hey, everybody. I can't hang long, but I'll hang long enough to talk to you guys for a minute. I got to go get my teeth cleaned in about 30 minutes. It actually got rescheduled, and I feel bad. I have been very rude on the phone recently to two people that didn't deserve it. And one of them was, I put right when the end of the lockdown on hair salons ended, I put in an appointment at a barber by my house. It's a place, I won't tell you the name of it because they don't deserve to get ripped on. And I waited 2 weeks for an appointment. And then after that happened, after 2 weeks, they call me the day of because they want to reschedule. They're like, sorry, the stylist you want isn't going to be here. And I never asked for a stylist. I don't even know the stylist's name. How could I ask for one? And I was very rude to her on the phone. And I was like, well, damn it. I've been waiting for 2 weeks for a haircut. Now you tell me you can't do it? Like, I would have gone somewhere else. In the end, I just decided not to get a haircut. Same thing happened this week. I had an appointment to get my teeth cleaned last weekend, and they pushed it to today. And then earlier today, they called me and asked if they could change the time, and I got so mad at the lady. I was like, look, I work for a living. I want to see you guys at the time we scheduled. And I hung up the phone, and I called her back, and I was like, you know what? I was kind of mean to me. I'll tell you what. I'll be there for the dentist. I told them they wanted me to come to the dentist appointment earlier because I guess they didn't have any other appointments besides mine, which was going to be at 4:30. So I'd have time to hang with you guys, go home, walk the dog, and then go to the dentist appointment. And after I was rude to the lady, I hung up and I called her back and I said, you know what? I feel kind of bad about that. It's not your fault. If it's easier for you, I'll come at 3:30 instead of 4:30 like we planned. So that's what I got to go do right now. But Lady Hellfire I posted a link there, and Lady Hellfire says I didn't post an actual link in the comments. I think that's how YouTube works. If you post a link on Facebook in the comments, it's a URL. It's a hyperlink. You could click it and it'll work. But I think if you do it in the comments section On YouTube, it doesn't. But anyway, whenever I say a website for a sponsor, if you guys could go look at that, even if you don't necessarily need to use that sponsor right now, just generating web traffic for them, often it really makes them feel better, especially in these trying times. Well, in these trying times, just getting some website traffic generated, and who knows, maybe you get there and you end up realizing you do need the service. So if you could just glance at it for me, I appreciate it. You're already on the web, you know what I mean? It's I realize it's kind of annoying, but it's just, if you could do it for me, it helps me out. And since you're already on your computer, just glance. If it doesn't look interesting, look away. But at least that way they know that we have an audience and people are paying attention. Mark says, go live after I get nitrous. You know what? If I'm able to do it, Mark, I will. I'll go live after I'm done at the dentist. Marcus says, I think they're just cleaning my teeth, but I could probably do it. Marcus says, you should have said you're only changing my appointment time because I'm black. Or because I'm transgender. I didn't even think of that. I'm reading the comments here, and often you guys are funnier than me. Tommy says, even when you make an appointment, you still have to wait over 30 minutes to an hour to see these effers, he says. My uncle just texted me, and he said to stop saying the F word in the after show. My uncle's a great guy. My dad died, and my uncle is a few years younger than my dad, and they look and act exactly the same. And when I just saw that text from my uncle, I was like, oh, God, that made me feel bad. Because I love my uncle, and maybe he's right. But anyway... But you guys always want me to swear, so that's something I'll think about in the dentist chair today. I love all you guys. I'll see you real soon. I'm going to head over there. We'll see you tomorrow morning.